Hey Jews, welcome to the Game of Life Part 4. This is where we're looking at life like a game. What are we doing here? What's our purpose? Are we supposed to achieve anything in this lifetime? What happens after we die? What's the significance of how we die? All those questions that you may have pondered, but never thought to look into the Torah. But this is what the Torah is basically telling us. Please go back and look at my previous Game of Life videos so you'll understand what's going on here, and we'll just continue. So we have like we said in the other classes, the two teams, the nation of Israel and the 70 nations. Now I'm going to explain a little bit more here. We know who all this stuff is because that was in previous videos. But what I want to talk about is, let's say now, okay? Now we have this whole concept that this world, okay, we know from the Torah, from our guidebook to this game, and from all the very smart people that came before us in the timeline to this is our time right now, 5,784. That's the year. But let's not even look at it as a year. There's a certain amount of time that's been put on the board for us to play this game. Okay, with all the objectives that we talked about previously, okay? And the time ends at 6,000. That's when the bell goes off, and that's it. No more reality, because this reality exists for this amount of time. That's the game, okay? 3 physical, 1 spiritual, 1 time. Our reality is 5-dimensional. So this is a specific amount of time that we have until 6,000. We're at the end times, okay? We're in the end times. We are living the end times. Look around you. It's kind of obvious, but even if it's not, just know that this is the time, okay? So, and we, in this reality, have a physical body that's 3-dimensional, okay? And we have our soul, which is spiritual. That's the spiritual dimension of our personal realities. And also the bigger reality, we're here in a 3-dimensional reality with a spiritual dimension that we cannot see. Some can feel, some can experience in different ways. And that's what the Torah is telling us about, all about, especially this dimension. It's our spiritual information from the line of the Jews, okay, from Judaism, which don't think of it anymore like a religion, okay? Because I think that's the thing that's majorly stopping a lot of people from investigating the Torah and their own history, okay, your own lineage as a Jew, what it means to be a Jew, and go back farther than the Holocaust to understand this really, really well. Because once you do, you understand that thinking it like a religion and all the things that people do, like washing their hands and eating kosher and saying blessings, seems just like ritualistic or dogmatic practices of people who were primitive. That's incorrect, okay? It's an incorrect way to think of it. Judaism is a way to combine these aspects of our reality, the physical with the spiritual, understanding the time and using the time properly, meaning all the times that come up in our years and in our life cycles, what to do, the holidays, Shabbat, okay, times 2, says King Solomon, they're 24 times, okay? And they're distributed evenly, okay, with 14 times going to a bad way, okay, which ultimately will lead to war, and 14 times going all in a good direction, which ultimately would lead to peace, okay? So we're using this guide to combine this, to choose. This is your free choice. I always say our free choice is just to choose to be a Jew, but ultimately, if you choose the good, peaceful things according to what God, the creator of everything, everything's existing because of God and in God, and God is literally everything, okay? But we are existing as separate consciousnesses to do a certain thing, okay? So we talked about that a little bit in our previous videos, but what I'm going to say here, so there's a certain amount of time where this reality with its physical, spiritual, and time elements, 5-dimensional reality, exists for only 6,000. We're at 5,784. We're at the end of time, okay? And so things are happening around us based on this game, where we are in the game, okay? And to what extent mainly the Jews have chosen these ways that lead this way to the left, to war ultimately, or this way, the paths of the Torah, using the Torah to guide pretty much all of our decisions in life, how we live our life, what we do with our life, and ultimately walking towards peace, okay? So you can think of this reality, the physical setting of this reality is not hell, but it's hell adjacent, okay? It's a hella place to be. Let's just call it a prison. I'm gonna just explain it, okay? So have you ever seen that show called The Good Place? Where every time, spoiler alert, but it's a great show, I think, because it also, they have a lot of information. Again, the 70 nations, okay? It's pretty relevant. This is a bad place. In a way, it's not the most bad place, but it's adjacent to the very worst place ever. This reality, there's different spiritual levels, okay? And we're at the very lowest one in our reality. So low, in fact, that it's very hard to perceive this, if not impossible at this point, to perceive in any way this spiritual reality. So it's almost completely 100% physical, okay? So we think of it like a prison, okay? And so our soul, first of all, is in a prison in the body, okay? Our soul is spiritual and it comes from God. And it's basically imprisoned in a physical body, okay? But how bad your soul suffers in your body is just up to your choices, okay? So things that make the soul feel good in the body is, first of all, if the soul could just run the body, then that would be amazing. You'd be completely healthy all of the time, accessing 100% of your brain, knowing how to heal yourself, whatever, you know what I mean? You'd be like very, very healthy. That's if your soul drove this body like a car, okay? But what's happening more and more is our physical bodies are overpowering our soul. Our soul is suffering, and our soul is like the driver of the car, okay? So based on that is like how good or bad you're gonna feel, right? And same too with our overall choices for life and how we use our time, how we live our life, will determine how comfortable we are in this prison, which is this world, which is olam hazeh. Okay, this world, this is what the Torah says, olam hazeh. This is a world of lies. Alma de shikra, olam hasheker, the world of lies. That's what our guidebook tells us. This reality, which has an end date, which is going to end at, if not before 6 hours, this is a maximum it could go. But if we just played the game properly, Nation of Israel, we could end it any time. That's actually our goal. Our goal is to end this reality and to go to a different and a better reality, a reality that is all spiritual. No more physical, no more time, only spiritual. And that's what we're supposed to be learning in this reality while we have our bodies, is to learn and practice how to be holy so we can go into the next world, which is eternal. And it is all spiritual. And it's all good, by the way. Okay, so that's our point in this. We want this reality to end. We don't necessarily want it to end with war. Okay, just with a simple redemption, with love. God could just be like, oh, you did a great job, guys. Redeemed. Great. That it could end like that. If we all just did one Shabbat, by the way, that's what our Chachamim, our smart people tell us. If all of Israel, if all the nation of Israel would just keep one Shabbat, one Shabbat, it would just end. And we'd be like, congratulations, winners. Welcome to Olam Haba. Okay, but instead, we're choosing always sometimes the wrong way. And eventually it's still going to end, but it's just how much they prolong this reality. That's their goal, the 70 nations goal. Okay, they're pulling this way to 5-dimensional reality. They want this reality to continue. And that's why you see a lot of wicked Satanist people, psychopaths, sociopaths, 1% elite. This is, how do you think they're doing in this prison? They're running it. They're having a great time. They're getting all of the choicest of everything. The best of everything is going to the 1%. Okay? But all of this is going to start to get harder to get. That's why they want to lock you down, us all down into 15-minute cities. They want our actual prison to be worse for us, okay, and better for them. So it's like we're in prison in this world. And so, like I said, I referenced the good place. I mean, a lot of people who are kind of like waking up in our reality in this year, 5,784, 2024, and they're like, wait a minute, this is a bad place. This is a bad place. I mean, you're waking up now to see, but if the New World Order and Agenda 2030 get fully implemented, we won't have to be like surprised. Ooh, this is a bad place. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's a bad place, okay? Because it's prison. So what the Torah is trying to do is give you the wherewithal, the information that you need, the knowledge and the wisdom, okay, to at least be in a very good place in the prison. At least be more towards the entrance that goes to heaven, to Gehinnom. Okay, so you're heaven adjacent in your personal prison in this world for your lifespan, not Gehinnom, hell adjacent. You're walking in the ways of light, which that's literally what they tell us in the Torah, that the Torah is light, a light. It's like our soul. The Torah is the light, and the mitzvot, what were written in there in the Torah, you have to do 613 things that are like, let's just say, a candle, okay? Those are the mitzvot that you have to do. You have to build something to hold the light, right? And then the Torah is a light. So you have to do the mitzvot. It's just telling you how to live in light while you're here in prison, okay? And we have an example from that from the Torah. Yosef, a tzaddik, Joseph. So what happened is, okay, so we're in prison. Okay, I'm going to get back to that story in a minute. We're in Olam Hazeh, which is a world of lies, okay, which is temporary. It's more physical and less spiritual, and this is where we're supposed to do the work, okay? And we have an example of that also, that 6 days we work, and on the 7th day is Shabbat. We get a day off in this prison to keep Shabbat, and by doing that, we're becoming more pure spiritually in order that we can see some light in this world. Okay, depending where you are in the prison. Are you more towards this side somehow? Walking in darkness? Not knowing what's going on, not keeping Shabbat, not learning Torah, not keeping yourself pure and holy, not holding on to your roots, onto the Jewish traditions and the customs, your father and your mother's Torah, which they were commanded to pass down to you and to all of us. We were commanded throughout the entire history of our nation to pass down these ways and have your sons and daughters walk in these ways, practice these ways, keep to these ways, keep separate. Okay, because when you're separate, you're actually heaven adjacent in the prison. Okay, you're actually we can just call this part of prison, Goshen, okay, Goshen. That's just a word for the VIP section of prison. Okay, it's just you're in Goshen. You're getting the best possible situation you could have in prison, okay? If you're just a prisoner, okay? So if you're not living like a Torah observant Jew, right? You're not in Goshen. You're somewhere, we could just call this Egypt, okay? Now, we can understand the story of Passover a little bit better, of what we were doing in Egypt. It's just darkness. It's just a worse part of the prison, okay? Which is just this life, okay? So like I said, your body's in a prison, your soul is in a prison in your body. And we are collectively in a prison, which is our reality, okay? And depending on where you are in prison, that's how your life is looking, okay? Depending on a lot of other different things also. So you might think your life is going well, because you're a Jew and maybe you're a part of the 1%. But that's the worst possible situation for you, Jew, because you've given up completely your Olam Haba for this world, okay? For this world. And then we'll talk a little bit about Yitzchak. This is how you know this, because we learn in the Torah what happened here between Yitzchak when he gave the blessing to Yaakov. And then this is where this protection, this information, the Torah, and the eternal reward, which is Olam Haba, the next world, this is who it was given to. Okay? And not Esav, not any of the 70 nations, okay? That their reward for living in this world, basically, let's just say, is to have a good olam hazeh, to have as much money as they need, to all the amazing things about this world, this physical world, enjoy. That's why they're, all their ideologies and philosophies and spiritualities are not so restrictive and not so whatever. And that's why we're told to keep separate, okay? And so we see Joseph, okay, Yosef Atzadik, when he was sold down into slavery into Egypt, okay? It was like, because what happened here, just a little bit of background, Avraham Avinu, our forefather Avraham, who was a genius, was living here in this prison, okay? And everyone was living here in this prison. But Avraham Avinu was like, wait a minute, this is the bad place. And so he started to look for the truth, for the light. He started to look for the light. And he started to investigate his reality. And he started to think deeply into the things that he was observing in his reality. Why is this like that? Why is that like that? Why, if there's these energies that people are worshiping, make it make sense. How did we get here? What are we doing here? Is there a creator? Okay, and Avraham Avinu, through his own pursuit of the truth, with his enormous intellect and genius and dedication, ended up wandering all the way over here by himself to find the light, to find the creator. And then God was like, way to go, excellent job, you are winning. And he revealed himself basically and said, yes, I am the creator, this is the creator. And from you is going to come to the team that I'm going to also give them the better part of Goshen, the better part of the prison, if they just follow these directions and just stay separate. And then you're just waiting for the end of this reality, which could have been also before if we were all doing that, if we were all perfect, okay? Like we saw in the first temple, period. Where after we got redeemed, we got taken out of this darkness called Egypt, hell adjacent prison part of the reality, and we got just put right over here in Eretz Israel, in our land of Israel, with the Torah laws, with the temple, and everything was good. God was just feeding us directly, giving us everything, waiting the time out, okay? But the more we strayed, got scattered now we're all in different parts of the prison. All the Jews, we're not together. We're not together in Eretz Israel having a great time with the temple. We're all spread out, different places in the prison, okay? And so now you have to find your way back to Goshen, to the good part of the prison, to the VIP part of the prison, which is this world. How are you going to do that? You gotta use the instructions, and you have to follow people who have learned it, okay, and written books for us. All our chachamim, all our sages, and go for like Matok Midvash. I'm just gonna say who I learned from, the Matok Midvash. I learned the Gaon from Vilna, the Ramchal, Shlomo HaMelech, David HaMelech in Tehillim. I mean, all the commentaries I can get my hands on, Rashi, Yaakov Kuli with Mam Loaz, the Kuzari from Rabbi Yehuda Levi. I mean, you could literally just be spending all your time learning what other people have learned about the Torah in order to tell you. Okay, their parables are similar to this, but they just say it better for their times. Like they say, imagine that you were the son of a king and then you were put into this reality in the garden, and all this different stuff. So this is just another way to explain what's in the Torah. Okay, so Joseph, in the Torah, we're told that Joseph, when he ended up in prison in Egypt. Okay, so he was like in Egypt already, in the in an actual prison. Okay, in prison. So he's like 3 times in prison in his own body, which he was very well aware of, because like I said, they came from Abraham. He was a son of a son of a saint of a saint of a saint. They knew God. There was no question. Okay, so Joseph knew his soul. Okay, and so he went down and he was imprisoned in the darkness of Egypt. Okay, but what we're told is that Joseph was like in the VIP section of even that prison. He ran the joint. Okay, and then when he got out of this prison, he got out of this prison, okay, and then he was just here, and he was like the king of this prison, which is the world, basically, which is our reality. He became the viceroy of Egypt. So he was there was the Pharaoh, right? Because this is their prison. This is their world. They run this prison. They run this reality. Okay, so their Pharaoh, though, just gave Joseph the keys to the prison and said, you run it. The whole thing. Okay, so we know also that when we're in prison, if we follow the Torah, we could just be in the VIP section. Okay, but a lot of us are not. We're all scattered all over here, okay? But we can take an example, because even it says, if while Joseph was in Egypt the whole entire time, he kept himself pure. And mainly that was by being holy sexually, keeping the Brit Milah, the circumcision, but keeping yourself holy. And he was a handsome man. And all of the women of Egypt wanted Joseph, and especially the head of the household's wife. Okay, but he kept himself very holy with regards to sexual whatever, and he kept the brit there, and that's extremely important, because then he was protected. It was like as if Hashem, God, gave him an extra letter to his name. So it's usually Yosef, and he added the Hey, which is protection. It's a part of Hashem's name, a part of God's name that he gave to Joseph when he was there, because as a reward for this, okay, you kept yourself holy and pure, and you didn't degrade yourself sexually in any way. Because when a man has emissions from his body, sexual emissions from his body that are not done in holiness, it will make you fall farther and farther into darkness. We'll just call it a sin, but it's just something. It's like, if you keep that holy, you will be protected more. Okay, that's how he got the name Tzaddik, righteous. Okay, and he got this letter of Hashem's name added to his name. Yehoseph. Okay, and we're told that we in exile, okay, during our long exile, after the second temple was destroyed and we've been exiled, we've been exiled out of here, out of the VIP section of this world. Not only in the land of Israel, but also mentally, spiritually, ideologically. We are far from understanding this properly, and a lot of us don't even learn it at all. And that's the whole point. You have to learn in order to understand. So he got this Hey added, Yehoseph, and we're likened, okay, the nation of Israel is likened to the house of Yehoseph when we're in exile, okay? Sometimes it's Joseph is like kind of counted as one of the forefathers, okay? Because this is very important, that he was able to keep holy while in the depths of the prison, okay? And we all should understand that, okay? To keep ourselves holy and pure as much as possible, and we will get this protection, okay? Because we're called like the sons and daughters of Yehoseph when we're in exile, okay? So now think, okay, so that if we're in prison and we're all in different parts of the prison, okay? That's how so in prison, you're allowed to have, let's say, 3 meals a day. Okay, so the reason that you do it, that you're supposed to do these things according to the Torah, is so you're not being judged on because, let me put it this way. We are being judged on every little thing that we do in this prison, okay? There's an eye that's watching us all the time and writing down all of the things that we do in a book, let's just say, okay? There's a warden of the prison and all his little minions that are watching everything you do. What did you eat? You ate, you were like a gluttonous pig that had to eat whatever pig, non-kosher, whatever. These are demerits. These are the demerits that we talked about in, I think, video number 2, part 2. You're getting demerits, okay? But because God loves us, knows that it's hard work that we're doing out here in the prison, trying to find our way home to Judaism, back to Goshen, trying to get the redemption, trying to get this Olam Haba, okay? So he gave us a day off from the prison. That's Shabbat, okay? And on Shabbat, there's no eyes that are watching you there. You're allowed to eat 3 amazing meals, whatever you want, and God, that's not coming out of your prison allotment money, okay? So when you're in prison, you're making money, okay? And that money that you have all year is decided on Rosh Hashanah, by the way. That's the time all your money is decided for the year, okay? So you may think that you're earning it because of your efforts, but really God decides on Rosh Hashanah how much you're going to have to spend in prison, your stipend or whatever, okay? But not included in that is everything that's needed for the times that are written down in the Torah. So for example, Shabbat. So if you spend a lot of money on good wine and good kosher food and whatever to eat for the mitzvah, of the 3 meals on Shabbat, that's not coming out of your allotment money for prison. That's not your prison. That has nothing to do with it. It's all just given to you by God. That's extra. That's not coming out. Same with clothes for Shabbat and for holidays. Same with whatever for the mitzvot. Okay? So that's something that they don't see. Also, that's why a lot of other things, if you do it in the holy way and at the holy times, certain times, it's no one's giving you demerits. There's no one looking at you. Let's just say the warden and the prison guards and whatever are not watching you at those times. Okay, so even, for example, talking about this allotment, there's stories in the Torah. This is something I learned from reading Ma'am Loez. I'm going to put this in my description, where he talks about Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Rabbi Yehuda the Prince, okay? Rabbi Yehuda the Prince was extremely wealthy. He was very, 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 very rich, and he was like a great friend with Marcus Aurelius, okay? And just so you know, if you learn actual history, you will know that Marcus Aurelius, he converted to Judaism before he died. He was a lifelong friend, like I said, of Rabbi Yehuda the Prince, and they learned Torah together, okay? And then before he died, he converted to Judaism. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda the Prince says that he had unlimited amount of money, but he didn't want to enjoy anything from this world. So he ate very simply, okay? He had everything on his table just in case the Roman nobility came to his house or whatever. He wanted for nothing. He had the very best of everything, but yet he just didn't take from that at all, okay? Because one of the other things is, however much you take of this world comes out sometimes of this reward. Okay, I'm trying to explain this. This comes from Yitzchak and the blessing that he gave to Yaakov and the blessing that he gave to Esav. Esav was the firstborn. Theoretically, it would have made more sense that, well, I'm not going to explain it this way. Esav was a firstborn, and he was expecting to get a blessing from Yitzchak for Olam Haba, meaning saying that, look, you just have to play this game according to these rules, and then you'll have the eternal reward, which is Olam Haba, the afterlife, okay? But he was wicked, okay? And so that blessing went to our forefather, Yaakov Avinu, who was perfect, who was holy, who became Israel, which is a holy, like, additional name that he got, okay? Proving that he was holy. And all the things that happened there. And he had 12 perfect saint sons, okay, to carry on this information, to live in Goshen, basically in the VIP section of this prison, okay? But Esav was very upset that he didn't get that blessing. So he said, bless me, Father, please also give me a blessing. So Yitzchak Avinu said, okay, your blessing in part is that when you see your brother enjoying too much of this world, because this world is yours, Esav, okay? And the next world is Yaakov, is Yaakov Avinu's, okay? And this lineage, okay? So, but if you see then, okay, because you don't have access really to the reward. This is your reward. Enjoy it. YOLO. Enjoy it, okay? But if you see now people from this line, if you see the Jews, if you see Yaakov over here enjoying too much here, then you will have reason to complain against them. Does that make sense? So, for example, like we said, when we see Rabbi Yehuda Levi, who had a lot of riches, a lot of whatever, he was a prince. He could have enjoyed too much of this world, and then it could have caused the other people in this world to complain against him, right? And cause him demerits, either for Olam Haba or whatever. So he said, yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to get into that. I'm just going to eat some bread and some water or whatever. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to take anything as much as possible from this world. Okay? So nothing to complain about. And we also have to think like that. Okay? How much, I mean, it's not important. This world is going to end. It may start being more and more restrictive before we even get a chance to make those sacrifices for ourselves. In 15-minute cities, they tell you you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. So give it up now as much as you can, the materialistic aspect of our reality, okay, as a sacrifice to God, to say, hey, I realize I'm kind of bogged down here a little bit in the worst part of the prison, and I need a little help. I need to get back to the VIP part of the prison, where Am Yisrael is basically, okay? So yeah, it may look like physically, the Jews lived in ghettos and they whatever, but that was most of the time, I think, a big choice, a conscious decision that they chose to separate ourselves, no matter what that looks like, and focus on what does matter, which is the spiritual, and try to be over here in the good part of the prison, heaven adjacent, okay? And not over here in the worst part of the prison, hell adjacent. So there's some things also that are the wisdom of our fathers in Pirkei Avot says that it's difficult to realize this situation. It's difficult to have spiritual elevations, especially if we're bogged down over here in darkness, okay? It's difficult to make the changes that we need to make, because a lot of things are also habit. A lot of things are also just, it's so obscure now if you've been living in a different ideology with different whatever, and no Judaism and no Torah, and not keeping yourself like being a good vessel for this light, meaning not keeping kosher, not keeping Shabbat, not doing anything spiritual, not doing any of the mitzvot. It's difficult to realize that, okay? And a lot of it is expected of us as the nation of Israel. We're actually supposed to be the light unto all of the other nations. Okay, the world, our prison should actually all be pretty good, this world, okay? But it's not. Okay, and it's looking more and more and more like it's going to an actual prison in the 15-minute cities, New World Order Agenda 2030. Okay, so we're supposed to be the light. So a lot of it's expected of us, and they know, our sages and God knows how difficult that is. It's hard because, after all, we're just humans, right? We're not angels. And we're mixed here with our souls and our bodies together. And this world is very materialistic. And it is very attractive. And the body is attracted to all the desires of the physical dimensions, okay? So, but what they say, our sages and the rabbis in Pirkei Avot, is they say, make one big sacrifice, like make one big effort to go towards this way, to go towards the light, to go towards the truth, to open up to God, to open up, to go back to Judaism, and to come back to the VIP section of this prison, and get protection and get all your needs met, blah, 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 and to be comfortable and to be peaceful. Make one big step that way and you'll be helped a lot. It's like, if you just make a pinhole type of hole towards getting out of the worst part of the prison, then God, okay, will open this pinhole up the size of a gate. Okay, you may not see right now any light in what I'm talking about, and you may not even, this concept of God and Judaism, whatever, may be so far from you, but just open up a pinhole-sized hope, point of hope, of consideration. Be willing now to say, wait, it's possible. It's possible that the Torah is right, that Judaism is important, it's something, and our lineage can be trusted. This is the right way to live. This is the information we need to know about the reality, about what we're doing here, about life, about death, about what happens after, and get some protection. And okay, so you just have to make one thing I always think of, I know some, teenager, non-religious boys, and some of them have long hair. Okay, and for many reasons, it's explained there that that's not something that a Jewish boy should have. A Jewish man should not have long hair, because the dinim, what it's called, like the negative, let's just call them negative forces, can take a hold of your hair. Okay, also that's why women cover their hair, not with dead other people's hair, like in a wig, but just cover it, okay? Because there's negative forces that have access to you, your body, to you from things like that. That's why we're told, certain things. Also, long fingernails, okay? Those are places where the negative forces can access you and keep you here in darkness, keep dragging you down, making you less emotionally receptive to the spiritual information, which is in the Torah, which will heal your soul, give you peace, and put you here. And it's called, even in Psalms and Tehillim, in Psalms 1, I think it's verse 3 and 4, where it says that if you meditate on God's Torah and it's your delight, you think about it all the time, then God's gonna lay you down basically in you'll be like an like a tree. Shaltul al palgei mayim, that you'll be put in next to a well of life source water, and you'll be rooted there, and you'll bear fruits when the time comes, and everything will be successful for you. God will take care of you. You'll be in Goshen, like we know again from the story of Pesach, from the Haggadah, that the Jews first lived in Goshen when they went, and then they spread out and they mixed and whatever. But the tribe of Levi was never enslaved, and the tribe of Levi always lived in Goshen, and they always kept the Torah, and they always kept the Brit, and they always, they never ever strayed from the ways of their fathers. They never ever strayed from the Torah, and Moses came from that tribe. Okay, he was an enlightened person who wrote it all down for us and taught it. He didn't write it himself, obviously. He brought it down for us and taught it to us. Okay, so things like, for example, so if you just cut your hair and did it for the purpose of serving God. God, we can't do sacrifices really anymore because we don't have a temple after the second temple. But there was a time when a sacrifice was made on our behalf by the highest priest or whatever that absolved us of all of the sins that we may have done, which has kept us in Goshen. Okay, but no, we don't have the ability to do that. So Rabbi Yehuda Levi, okay, again, go read the Kuzari, but he says somewhere else, not actually in the Kuzari, that that today, because we don't have the temple, that our biggest sacrifice that we can make to God to help us get back over into the better part of the prison, the VIB prison, and maybe just end this game right away and give us our reward, is if we sacrifice our ego. Okay? Just admit, perhaps you don't know what's in the Torah because you never bothered to learn it, like me before I did. Okay? Just perhaps you don't see reality clearly. Perhaps now it's a little bit, things are not as you may have thought they were, right? So just open up a pinhole. Just do something. Do something big, like cut your hair if you're a man or a boy with long hair. That's not Jewish. Just dress modestly if you're a woman, because we're told don't dress here like how they dress here in Egypt. Okay? And just don't dress like that. Dress like a Jew. Keep modest. Don't go in the ways of the goyim. Don't take after them. Don't worship what they worship. Don't like what they like. Don't spend your time the way they spend their time. This is their world. They can enjoy it. This is, the Torah tells us, don't waste your time. Bitul Torah. It's anything that you're not, any time that you may have extra on your free time in prison, your prison breaks or whatever, you could read Torah. You could learn Torah. And then little by little, you'd be moving over more heaven adjacent. Okay, but watch out. There's lots of soul traps. That's part 3 to the game of life. You got to watch out. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. Okay, so like in Pirkei Avot, the wisdom of our fathers, they tell us just make big. You could make one big move. I'll tell you what I did. I realized that I was here, closer to here, maybe, I don't know, I was somewhere here. But I saw that there was a light and I wanted it. So I'd made some of the big sacrifices I made, like were my ego, were the vanity. Happy to sacrifice that, no problem, wearing modest clothing, covering my hair, whatever you need. I want help. I want to come here. I want to feel here. I want to feel calm. I want to feel like a beautiful tree planted by a fresh, never-ending stream of beautiful water from the source. Okay, I want my soul to feel refreshed from God. I want to know, what do I need to do to be over here in Goshen? Because at the end of time, this world will start to show more and more signs of ending, either this way, New World Order, which is what they are telling you, okay, or redemption. Okay, I want to wait for that here in Goshen. I want to just be like, wow, this is crazy. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you for the protection. Thank you for the abundance. Thank you for whatever. Okay, I know that you're taking care of me. I'm here. And that was the same thing in Egypt, by the way. There were people who were waiting for the redemption. They weren't slaves. They weren't suffering. They weren't experiencing the collapse of their reality. They were just waiting for God to come and take them out. Okay? So one big sacrifice, other things you could do are charity. Buy your way out of prison. No problem. You can do that. But what? You have to do it in a way where you're giving your charity to the way the Torah tells you. And to do that, you have to keep Shabbat. You have to be a Shomer Shabbat in order to give charity to the people that God wants you to give charity, that will buy your way out of prison, okay? And that's B'nai Torah, the people who are studying Torah. You may have heard that the state of Israel, which is currently occupying the Holy Land of Israel, that's just anti-Torah, had just defunded all the people who were learning Torah in yeshivot. Okay, but we don't want to take their money because that just gives them merit. Okay, they're supplying that. What we need is Jews, okay, to fund the B'nai Torah, to keep the Torah alive in our reality. That's the only thing that's keeping the lights on here, guys. Soon we'll be in total darkness if there's no one learning Torah, okay? So you can buy your way out of this hell-adjacent reality that you're maybe living in to some extent, okay? You could buy your way out with charity, but you have to keep Shabbat first, okay? Any organization that takes your money as a non-Torah observant Jew, as a non-shomer Shabbat, somebody who doesn't keep Shabbat, is not on the team of really playing for the nation of Israel, okay? Whether mistakenly, whether whatever, but these rules are not bendable. There's no modern Orthodox. There's no Reform Judaism. There's no different cults to worship other people. We don't worship Moses. We don't worship Yaakov. We don't worship Yitzchak. We don't worship Avraham Avinu. Why would you worship any other rabbi? I mean, we don't worship Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who gave us really the light. Just gave it to us, okay? In the Zohar, the Aliyah Kadosh. We don't worship these guys. We don't worship these geniuses and these sages. We don't worship Eliyahu Hanavi, the prophets. We don't. Why would there be a group of people worshiping their Rebbe? Okay, because it's not the truth. Okay, why would they take your money if you don't keep Shabbat? Why do they have $1 million places of worship when B'nai Torah, the people who are learning Torah, are suffering in poverty in this world? Okay, you have to think about these things. Marinate on it. Like it says in Tehillim, in Psalms number 1, the very first one. Okay? Ashrei ha'ish asher lo halach ba'atzat rashaim. Happy and peaceful is the man who walks in the way of the righteous, basically. Okay? Who doesn't walk in the way of the wicked. Okay? Who keeps a nice, narrow, straight path of peace, which is all written down there in the Torah. All the paths of the Torah are peace. All of them lead to peace. Remember what Shlomo Melech said, King Solomon, that you're always choosing to walk in a path when in your life, okay? Either walking in the path of peace, which is the Torah, which will take you over here, heaven adjacent, in our VIP section of this prison, in Goshen, if you will, or chas v'shalom the other way, with no information, without the guidebook to this game, okay, without the whatever, in a crooked path that will lead you all the paths will lead to war, crookedly, okay? So you just make one big jump, a leap of faith, one jump up of leaf. Anyway, all right, so some things. Your ego, for example, just admit. You don't know what's in the Torah. You never learned it. Just start learning. Your vanity. Okay, we shouldn't be dressing like them, especially the women. Be modest. Okay, charity. Charity, you can buy yourself out of prison to a certain extent. Okay, but you have to first keep Shabbat. You have to first at least keep Shabbat. And then start giving charity. Does that make sense? So that's part 4. And feedback is always welcome.